Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is the Black Manga Critic. Once again, out here talking about stuff. I wanted to do a live stream. I've been wanting to do a live stream to like manga and stuff like that, but I don't know. I got to get back into it. I did like a bunch of weekly Shonen Jump review, sort of live reaction / reviews. Maybe I bit off more than I could chew that day because I was just getting over my cold. Maybe I just got to get my energy back. I don't know. Again, that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about horny dudes, man. This is one of those things that like I don't talk too much about, but we gotta talk about the cornball dudes that are out here. It's bad, man. It's bad. It's really bad out here, and some of these dudes out here really don't understand just how ridiculous they are. And I talk about this because, right? I mean, if you were on Twitter, you've seen just the ridiculous tweets of, related to Michael B. Jordan, right? Who I think we now know is an avid anime and manga fan, right? We understand this. That's cool. Personally, I'm like, yo, the more anime and manga fans we have and know about, the better, right? It's cool. It's cool beans to me. I love that stuff. I love that. All right. But all of these dudes that are coming out and talking about, oh, y'all won't want to get on Michael B. Jordan for liking anime and manga, living with his parents. He's not even 6 feet tall. Like, I don't understand that. Like, I don't. Right? Like, well, no, I do understand it, but I don't sympathize with that. I think it's ridiculous. Right? You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between right? Like when some people say they don't understand something, sometimes like that's just like it might be a lie, or it might just be like willful ignorance or something like that, right? So for me, like I completely understand generally, right? Like why these dudes are so salty, right? This is saltiness, right? This is what's going on here. This is not like this is not I'm trying to intellectually talk about woman. Like no, that's not what's going on here. What's going on here is saltiness, like of like the highest caliber, absolutely ridiculous nonsense. You know what I mean? Like where we got dudes getting like hating on Michael B. Jordan. One, Michael B. Jordan is a very attractive guy. I like right. I think regardless of your sexual orientation, or like how, like your attraction, whatever, sexuality, whatever. Like, I mean, look at dude, right? And again, right? Michael B. Jordan just recently put out a tweet responding to one of these cornball dudes, right? Talking about how his parents live with him. I'm pretty sure that like he bought the house that he's living in and his parents live with him, right? Like there's a difference. There's a difference when you choose, right? Like when you choose to live with you, or when you choose to have your parents live with you, as opposed to I can't afford to move out of my parents' place. So this is what I'm doing right now, right? There's a difference. I think that's very clear. So like right, so already that's like one thing, right? We got dudes who are legit rewriting Michael B. Jordan's own narrative, right? His own decisions, like that right there is corny to me, right? If you are obsessed about this guy who's just really trying to he's just trying to live. Like Michael B. Jordan's just trying to live. He's just trying to be an actor. He's trying to do his thing. He's successful. Like that's cool. Like, yo, power to him. And he's an anime and manga fan. That's like power to you, sir. All right. I don't see any reason, right? Like at the moment, right? I don't see any real reason why right, related to like this sort of like like these sort of like incidents. Like why would you be salty about like Michael B. Jordan winning? I don't understand it. Like again, right? I say I don't understand it, but I do. People are salty, people are jealous, especially dudes, right? Dudes, man, dudes be jealous of dudes that are clearly attractive, especially when they know, right? When they admit to themselves, like, yo, this is an attractive guy. This is an attractive human being. This guy, you know, he's healthy, takes care of his skin, you know, is fit, successful career. Right? Oh, the salt, man. And you know how I know? Because I used to be a guy like that. Like when I was younger, like when I was what, like 16, 17. I remember I was like, man, I was hating on Brad Pitt when I was like 15 to 16. I was hating on Brad Pitt. I was hating on Leonardo DiCaprio. I was hating on Daniel Washington. I was hating on dude. I was hating on him so hard. I was like, man, these actors ain't that good. Man, I don't know why they're successful, right? But I knew deep down that it came from a place of let's say not jealousy, but like envy. You know what I mean? It was just like envy. You know, I was like, man, these dudes, they live in life like and right and like right. Anytime a woman or girl or whomever would talk about how attractive they were, I'd be like, man, right? I would start hating. I'd be like, man, they ain't that cool. They ain't that great. You know what I mean? Almost immediately, right? Those feelings of just envy would pop up. And you would tell yourself, you know, and I tell myself, it's not envy. Like they are not like interesting or cool or great actors or anything like that. Or successful or good looking, nothing like that. Now it's like, oh, I can admit, right? Brad Pitt, when he was like in his early, like, the mid-20s or something like that, beautiful guy, right? Beautiful, beautiful man. Same with Leonardo DiCaprio, same with Denzel Washington, right? Whoa. Okay, right? But I just couldn't admit it, right? Because I was super insecure, no confidence, clearly was not successful. Nothing. I was not successful at all. I mean, I was 16, 15. I was in high school, like getting, I wouldn't even say average grades, like barely average grades. You know what I mean? I was not trying like at all. You know what I mean? No drive. You know, so when I see these dudes go, oh, you know, right, and it's not only the right, it's not just that they're hating on Michael B. Jordan, which in of itself is like, get out of here, right? But it's the fact that they're coming at women who like Michael B. Jordan, who are attracted to Michael B. Jordan, right? Right, and particularly women, right? That doesn't mean I'm not saying there aren't like men or non-binary folks or anything or genderqueer folks or anything like that who aren't attracted to Michael B. Jordan. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is generally these guys are coming at women, right? Are coming at cishet women, right? And saying like, not only is Michael B. Jordan not anything, but y'all ain't anything because you're into Michael B. Jordan. It's like, get out of here, man. That stuff, man. That stuff is so ridiculous. Like it just makes me so tired. It makes me so tired just to see it. It makes me laugh a little bit, but it's also like, imagine how exhausted like women must be. These women, like, right, to have to respond. Not have to respond, but like just like to deal with this on their timelines, to see these ridiculously stupid tweets talking about, oh well, you know, when I was trying to get with y'all, you ain't give me no time of day. I'm like, cause you're corny. And multiple women on Twitter, right, have stated this straight up. Just like, it's cause you're corny. Right? It's because you're corny. Like you went out of your way to come onto Twitter to make a tweet to complain that women aren't giving you the time of day, as opposed to doing some introspection, right? Like doing some introspective work on your own. Just go a corner somewhere, chill at home, chill whatever it is, wherever it is that you do your introspective work, right? Maybe it's on the toilet seat, maybe you in the bathroom, and you know you have those deep thoughts in the bathroom. You know what I mean? Y'all know what I'm talking about when you do a number 2 or number 1 or whatever, right? And the door closed, you by yourself, you thinking, right? You in that space. It might as well be a pocket dimension. You know what I mean? Like that's where you have those thoughts, right? Some of these dudes need to do those. Just need to go over there, right? Go into that. Go to the toilet. Go into the bathroom. Lock the door. Have some time to yourself. Have some introspective time, and think about why you corny. Think about why you corny, right? And one of the biggest reasons in this sense why they corny, right, is because they are legitimately wasting time getting on other people who are attracted to other people, right? Like this stuff, like this is like ridiculous. It's like that don't have nothing to do with you, right? And then they make it about them. They write corny dudes be doing stuff like that, right? Something's happening over here that really has nothing to do with them, right? Right? And then they got to go and insert themselves into the conversation. Right? And not only one, look stupid and ridiculous, but 2, just irritate women on Twitter, irritate dudes on Twitter, irritate non-binary folks on Twitter, irritate genderqueer folks on Twitter. They cockroaches, man. Cockroaches, right? It's just ridiculous. It's just really, really, really ridiculous. There was one tweet. If any of y'all follow Kimberly and Foster, like you should follow her now. Like awesome stuff. She runs a website called For Harriet. Really, really, really cool bean stuff. A lot of work on intersectional feminism, intersectionality, on blackness. You know what I mean? Really, really great work. But she had this tweet that was just like, you know, she just put it out there. She was just like, yo, like y'all corny. That's why. Like we're not messing with you because y'all corny. Leave us alone. Like it was just like, yo, leave us alone. Y'all corny. I was like, I love that because it was like, yo, ain't no other reason to explain that. I mean, you corny, right? They not messing with you because you pulling nonsense. Because you wanna wah like a baby, talking about why don't women like me? Why won't they have sex with me? Like, come on. You doing way too much work. Unnecessary work. Work that bothers people. That's annoying. Like women are not right. Like women, like the experience of women does not revolve around dudes. It doesn't. Right. So a lot of times, right, when dudes like corny dudes, but corny dudes think that corny dudes are like, yo, women women are looking for me. Women are looking for dudes. Women are looking for, that guy. That's all they doing. You know. And then what happens is they don't realize that, and then they walk around thinking that they like the best thing that ever happened to everybody, right? To anybody. It's just really ridiculous. It's just really ridiculous. And it's just like there's so like right again, that introspective work. If you just sit down, right? Don't say nonsense like that. Stop hating. Just stop hating on people in that sense, right? Like hating, right? Hating is a very particular thing, right? Oftentimes is related to envy or jealousy, but it's a very particular thing, right? There's a difference between like, oh, this person is doing harmful things and they need to stop, right? And then there's I envy that person, I'm jealous of that person, so I don't like them, you know. I want what they have. I'm not anything. Like it usually comes from that, right? You see all these dudes, they're like, hey, I do the same things. I'm like, they equate themselves to Michael B. Jordan. Already, that's corny to people. It's corny to anybody that, like, right? Like, it's like if let's say, right, like for me, one of the reasons why I'm like, I am extremely happy in my relationship, and while my fiance is extremely happy in this relationship, is because I don't go around being like, yo, like I don't go around trying to be anybody but me in everything that I am, right? I don't go around hating on other dudes or thinking, yo, man, I'm better than that guy. I'm better than that dude. Like, what? Why? Why do I have to do that? Like, it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of my energy. You know, it's like it's corny. It's corny. It's corny. Right? For you to spend so much energy to spend that time to like construct a tweet aimed at women, right? Hating women, hating on women, hating on Michael B. Jordan. Like, dude, that's supremely corny. That's high fructose corn syrup levels of corniness. Right? Dudes out here straight high fructose corn syrup. Just poison, yo. Poison. And right, and so right, like if you're out here talking about, oh, you know, these dudes over there ain't nothing, those dudes over there ain't nothing, and these women over here and over there ain't nothing because they are attracted to or like or are or admire this guy over here. I'm like, come on, man. It's corny, man. Right? And then for you to be like, hey, I'm the same as this person. I'm the same. Look at me. I do the same things. I'm like, you don't. Actually, you don't. Right? Because if you did, you'd be Michael B. Jordan. If you were exactly like Michael B. Jordan, you'd be Michael B. Jordan. But you're not. And this is what women all over Twitter are trying to tell you. It's like, you're not Michael B. Jordan, no. Like, okay, it's like yes. Like, and it, right, and it's almost like they act like women don't get that people can that people can have interests and be a particular height and be black and be different. It's like, come on, be yourself. You know? Like, all this shows is an incredible amount of insecurity. That's how I feel about it. It's like the levels of insecurity, right? Corny dudes, right? So I'm gonna go in a little bit in terms of like a few things that corny dudes do, but you know, just to kind of finish off this Michael B. Jordan stuff, it's like the hate, you know, they hating, right? Michael B. Jordan ain't nothing. He ain't nothing. You know? Who? Oh. A lot of women like a lot of women, you know, are attracted to Michael B. Jordan. They think he's cool. They think he's interesting. Da 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 da. I'm like, yes, they do. And right, and that's the thing. I always try to do. I'm like, and what? Like what? and you're revealing yourself to be a hater, and you're revealing yourself to be insecure, and you're revealing yourself to be a corny dude, that ain't helping you. That ain't helping your case. That ain't helping you grow. That ain't helping you be less corny. That ain't help. That's definitely not helping you be happier. You know what I mean? I don't see it. I don't see it. But I just want to talk real quick about just like corny dudes, because like I think a lot of dudes like don't realize how corny they are. Like they really don't. They don't. And the first thing, right? The first thing. This is really important. When you're exposing cornball dudes, when you're exposing corny dudes, this is really important. Number one, I don't know how many things I'm going to point out. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be too many things, but I think there are going to be a few things that I pointed that are like extremely important, right? To make sure, hey, like that's a corny dude right there, and you could tell right away. Number one, it's very clear that they don't view women as human beings. That's the number one thing. That's how you can spot a corny dude. That's how you can spot a corny dude a mile away. Right? And this is something I talked about with my fiance and numerous other women, just like throughout my life, right? Throughout my 20s. You know what I mean? You know, I'm gonna be 30 in September, so I mean, at this point, in my 20s, I'm 29 right now, going on 30, but like just in my 20s, and like late teens, right? Like 19, 18, like this is stuff that I've done, but way more so my like mid to late 20s, and a little bit early 20s, right? Like dudes that consistently refer to women as like objects, right? Right? Dudes that are like, oh, I gotta cop that. I gotta do things to that. I have to I'm gonna talk to that. I'm gonna take that somewhere, right? Like there's just the language, like the language is really important, right? Because sometimes you don't even realize how you're doing that. You don't even realize it, right? Everything, all these sentences, everything that you're saying puts women in the realm, in the state of object, right? Outside of the realm of agency, right? Which would be where the subject is, right? Corny dudes are always like do not see their interactions with women as subject to subject. They always see it as subject to object, or subject acting upon object. That's what they see it. They in some like, right, at a basic grammatical level, they like, yo, it's always about, yo, what can this object do for me? How do I manipulate that object? Right? Like this is really important. And they don't do, like I'm telling you, man, dudes don't even realize they do that. They don't even realize they do it. Right? And it, again, when people are like, hey, you know, right? Like, oh man, you know, it's just, sorry, man, it's just who I am. I'm like, no, that's not just who you are. Like people, you know, there's something called work, right? There's something called progress. There's something called trying to be better. There's something called conversations. There are so many things that guys can do, right? And mainly cis het guys, right? Cisgender, heteronormative dudes. But this by no means like right means that it's only cis het dudes, right? People in the LGBTQ community can do this as well, right? Like guys, right? Like But I'm focused on cishet guys because like this is where like the like super intense like toxic masculinity. You've probably heard that before. You probably heard that before. And if you're a corny dude, you when you hear toxic masculinity, you're like, right? Almost immediately, you're like, you know what? I ain't even going to listen to that. I'm not even trying to hear a conversation about that. I'm not trying to have conversations with women about that. I'm not trying to have conversations with guys about that. I'm not trying to have conversations with non-binary folks, with genderqueer folks. I'm not trying to do none of that. With trans folks, like I'm not trying to do none of that, right? That's like you could tell corny dudes objectify women. It's not even it's like on a subconscious level, right? That's the number one thing. And generally, most if not all dudes are like corny in that way, right? It's like you're constantly working to get away from that, right? That's the thing. I'm constantly working to not do that, right? I've definitely slipped, but the key there is to make sure that you recognize, hey, almost immediately, right? Almost that like, whoa, this is a slip that I've done. Like if I'm having a conversation with a woman or something like that, right? I'm like hyper vigilant, and you have to be hyper vigilant, right? Because it's so ingrained in you that you have to like always be on. You always have to be on it, right? You always have to be aware of like when you take up too much space, when you're too aggressive, when you're doing certain things. You gotta be. Right? And people are like, I don't understand women. Women are just another thing, man. They just different types of creatures, different types of. I'm like, man, like, I'm sorry, but you sound ridiculous. You sound ridiculous, and you sound lazy. That's really important, right? Again, it goes back to that number one thing, right? Objectifying women, where you sort of right, where you're like, there's something else. They're not subject but object, right? They're just a whole nother thing. I'll never understand them, right? It's lazy. It's willfully ignorant. It's you not wanting to do the work, because it's work, man. It's work. You gotta do that work, right? And some of it is hard work, right? I would say the hard work is, a lot of it is dealing with like the self, and again, that introspective work, looking at yourself and figuring out like, hey, like, why do I do those things that I do? Like a lot, like that work is hard. I don't know anybody that's like, oh, introspective work is super easy or anything like that. Because if it was, you would see far fewer bigoted, misogynistic, sexist, homophobic men, right? Like you see far fewer of them, right? If it was very easy. It's not easy work. And that's why you see so many dudes that don't want to do that work. They're like, it's too hard, man. It's too hard. And then they try to hit you with the YOLO. You only live once. I only have one life. What I got to do that work in my life? I'm like, because like your presence as someone that objectifies women harms others, particularly women. So you have to do the work so you aren't harming women. So you aren't making women feel uncomfortable. You got to do that work, yo. You got to do that work. Right? You got to do that work. That's the number one thing. That's the number one thing. You got to do that work. Right? Can't objectify women. I think the second thing you can always catch a corny dude is how do they act? Well, no, not even what you. Okay. How many friends do they have that are women, right? How many friends do they have that are women? I'm not talking about oh, I'm interested in a romantic relationship with this woman. I'm this woman is my sister or relative or cousin or someone that like I like generally I've had to hang out with throughout my life. I'm talking about like friends, like people that are not genetically related to you, or or via adoption, or via a family sort of like family figure, sort of like in a family figure sort of sense, right? I'm talking about friends where you're like that's just my friend, like that's my friend, that's my friend, that's my friend. Right? Like how many? This is one of those questions that, and people will try to come at you with, oh well, in my life I don't really meet many women. Da 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 da. They give you those excuses, and I'm like, that's nonsense, because look at how many women exist in this world, right? And for you to tell, right, like unless you've been living with a cult that only consists of men throughout your entire life, and you've never been able to leave that cult, I don't understand. I don't really get it, right? That's how you can tell when it's like friends. I'm talking about friends. I'm talking about women that you do not like where like the intention is not, oh, the intention is not to objectify them, right? The intent, that's what I'm talking about. And that's how you can tell. That's how you can tell. And you can do that introspective work, right? Like you can look at yourself, right? And you can scan through your life and be like, yo, man, right? Like if you can count, if you can count on like one hand the number of women that you count as your friends, and you have like a bunch of friends, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Right? Some dudes be like, oh, right, and then there are people, right, and it's sort of like a asterisk to this, I guess, is like, if you're a guy, right? Like, not only like is it like if you have a like maybe very few women friends, but if you think that you can't be friends with women, oh, that's corny, man. That's extremely corny. It's weak. It's really sad. It says a lot. It says a lot about you. It says a lot about you, man. It does. And again, like people will be like, oh, I'm coming at dudes. I'm coming at wrong. I'm like, no, like this is like women talk about this all the time, right? All the time. I talk about this with women all the time. Women are like, yo, like, why do they consistently have to deal with corny dudes consistently? Right. The first thing is like, if you objectify women, like, right, and you look at through your language, through your body language, stuff like that. If you objectify women, that's the number one sign, right? Like you're a corny dude. The second sign is if you can count on one hand the number of women that you have, or it might be even like a ratio. That might be better. Like if you do like a sort of ratio. If that ratio is like horrible, if it's like let's say like you have like however many like people that you consider to be friends, and you might have like one girl or woman that's like, oh, that's the only girl or woman that I could ever be friends with. Corny. You corny. Immediately you corny. Immediately you corny. Immediately corny. Like, again, do that work. You know what I mean? You got to do that work. It's really, really important, man. Right? The body language, and I was talking about it in another stream. Again, it's sort of connected to this, right? The idea of like non-verbal language, right? Or non-verbal cues and stuff like that. Guys don't like, right? Like guys, like all of a sudden, dudes came out the woodwork talking about what are nonverbal cues though? I don't understand nonverbal cues. That doesn't make any sense. I've never really experienced that before. Like that's like willful ignorance of like the highest class, man. That's like willful ignorance of the highest class. You ever seen like nonverbal cue? Middle finger. Middle finger is a nonverbal cue. Eye rolling is a nonverbal cue. Shirking away from someone is a nonverbal cue. Doing this, right? Like pushing someone away from you is a nonverbal cue. Right? So there were too many nonverbal cues, right? Certain postures, right, that people take when they are feeling upset or happy or disgruntled or whatever, right? Those are nonverbal cues. So it should be common sense, but it's not to a lot of people. Right? You saw like I can't tell you like the number of, especially radio hosts, right? Radio hosts, all of a sudden they got super willfully ignorant. They were like nonverbal cues, nonverbal sexual cues. What's that mean? What does that mean? I don't understand. I don't really get it. I've never nonverbal sexual cues, right? And the sad thing about that is it's either willful ignorance. The majority of it is willful ignorance, right? That's what I think is what it is. But it's also connected to like the fact that they just never cared about that. They've never decided I'm going to sit, take a breath, and pay attention and say, yo, like maybe this person is uncomfortable right now. Maybe this is not something that I should be doing. And it's not even a maybe. It's really, it's like a, yo, the second you feel that someone is uncomfortable, and you should be able to, right? If you can't do the work, again, if you cannot immediately be like, whoa, right? And I'm talking about like, and now I'm talking about like, right, like sex, because that's really important. If you can't understand that, or if you can't feel, if you can't, right? If you don't have that sort of level of intuition where you understand like, whoa, like this person's uncomfortable right now. And right now I'm talking about like heteronormative relationships, right? In terms of like man and woman, because like that's kind of generally where the sort of conversation is sort of like centered. That doesn't mean that this doesn't also apply to like LGBTQ like sexual relationships and encounters and stuff like that, right? Nope. That it counts for that too, but I'm centering it here with regards to like heteronormative relationship, right? Sexual encounters and relationships, because like that's where the conversation generally is, and it's important because like right, if you try to talk too much, if you try to go somewhere else with it, all of a sudden like people just like shut their minds off to what you're trying to tell them. But basically what I'm saying, right, is like nonverbal cues are a thing. We know what nonverbal cues are. We commit nonverbal cues all the time, right? All the time, right? We do, right? Like let's say I live in New York City, right? So like let's say like I'm gonna hop on a bus, right? I'm gonna hop on a bus or I'm gonna hop on a train or something like that. And let's say I'm on the bus already, and I'm by the entrance, and I see somebody running towards the bus. That's like a nonverbal cue, right? They don't have to yell or anything like that, right? You can tell, like facial expression, the way they're rushing. That's a nonverbal cue. That tells you, yo, this person's trying to get on this bus, right? So in that situation, you can either A, try to help them get on the bus, or B, totally ignore what's going on there. Right? And too often you have dudes who will just totally ignore these nonverbal cues, right? They'll just be like, oh, this person's clearly uncomfortable, right? This woman is clearly uncomfortable right now, but let's try to keep the sex going. This person clearly does not want to be in this space right now, but let's try to make sure that I get mine. And it's like there should be a level, like there should be like a gut like feeling of like disgust. right? Like there should be a gut feeling of disgust when you hear that like dudes are just ignoring that. Like, yo, it's gross. It's just like, again, objectification, right? Because it's right, because it's you. It's all about you acting up, right? Subject acting upon object. It's all about that, right? In that situation, you're just like, hey, this person is not a subject. This person has no agency. This person is not going to. I'm not interested in this person doing anything necessarily. Right? Or acting in any sort of way. I'm interested in my actions. I'm interested in my my gratification. I'm interested in my safety. I'm interested in my enjoyment of the time. Right. I'm interested in what I get out of the sexual encounter. That's what I'm talking about, man. And people don't want to talk about this stuff, right? Dudes, like it'll just go right over their heads. It'll just go right over their heads, right? And why I'm talking about this is because like it's important. Like we gotta continue to have these conversations. You gotta keep talking about these conversations. You know what I mean? You got to keep having these conversations. You got to keep talking about it because, like, right, like, and like, you, right, and yeah, and right, and this is a thing, right? And some dudes, right, some dudes will stop at a particular place, right? So Spiko, right, when you say like, right, I think partly men are socialized to believe it's what women like. The whole persistence is key thing, right? Like that's like yes, like that's definitely true, but it's also like men will just stop there. They'll be like, well, that's just what I'm so conditioned to do. I don't know what I can do about it. I'm not sure what kind of what the work is. I'm like, there are so many books, so many videos, so many blogs, so many people that you can talk to, right? That it it's like it's again willful ignorance. The sheer number of texts and people that exist to talk about these things and to help men with these things, it's like there's no excuse why you shouldn't be doing the work, right? Now, I'm not saying this stuff's easy. I'm not saying, oh, it takes 2 seconds and you're done. Again, I said this earlier in this video. It's not easy. That work, that introspective work, that self work is not easy. It's not easy. No. I know you're highlighting it, and I thank you for that, right? Because like again, like this is stuff that has to be said. So I thank you for that. You know, and it's just like you got to do that work. You have to be willing. You have to get to a place where it's like, yo, this work, like this work makes improves my life because it improves the lives of women. It's that's got to be a thing, right? Like you have to understand that this isn't like rather that self work is not only for you, but it's so that like you are not harming women when you're just simply existing. You know what I mean? You know, there's just certain things, and like there are different conversations, and they're right, so the key is right. You got to be open. You got to be open to having those conversations. You know what I mean? But again, you got to talk about it. You got to talk about it. And I think that like, right. So those are the two things, right? Those are two things. I think the third thing, and it's sort of loosely related to the second thing, right? The first thing was like the ways in which right, corny dude, right? You can tell a corny dude, right? Because a corny dude will one objectify women. And the second thing was you can tell you can spot a corny dude a mile away because right, it's not even just the number of women; it's the ratio of like within that sort of like friendship circle, right? That's like you can tell that. The third thing is how, right? Like the third thing is how often are you willing let's say let's say like corny dudes will will either completely ignore women that are speaking in spaces filled with men with corny dudes, right? Like corny dudes will just straight up either ignore or chastise women for speaking up about their discomfort. That's the third thing, and that's something I notice all the time, right? You might have you might have a woman come into and it might be this space, it might be like like conversation, it might be a bar, it might be a meeting, wherever, but there might be one or two women in the room, everyone else is dudes, and one of the women or maybe both of the women will try to voice their discomfort, and the dude and just the room will be just full of corny dudes, right? They will just ignore it. They'll be like, "Oh, you're just being ridiculous. Oh, what are you, PMSing? Oh, I don't know what your deal is today." You know, it's just nonsensical statement after nonsensical statement. That bothers me the most. That bothers like it's one of those things I see it all the time, and I'm just like, ooh, that bothers me the most. You know? No, yeah. I mean, people, you know, like again, right? Professor told me like this is a thing, right? It took a lot just for me, like one for me to come out, but two, to be comfortable with let's say my own like mannerisms and nonverbal cues and ways of speaking that could be considered to be flamboyant or whatever, right? Um, right? Or that would be considered to not be like masculine or whatever, right? It took me a long time to get comfortable with that, and a lot of that, right? One is finding, and one thing that really helped me was one, my fiance, but two, befriending women who were like, okay, right? Like that's important. That's what like whenever I see, you know, like and that's one thing that I would suggest. I would suggest to guys, like if you have an issue, right, and you're hanging out with corny dudes and they're getting on you, right? Like I had like two of my best friends, you know, they might like get on me about certain things, you know, and it was like and that right, like that led to a conversation where I just blew up at him because I was holding it in and I wasn't communicating with them, and I just like that pent up anger and that pent up frustration was just there, you know. And it's like and then but once I did that, once I had the discussion, some things were better, you know. There's certain things that I could do, but in some ways I still feel a little bit uncomfortable, you know, being like my full sort of self, right? You know, like mannerisms, you know, things like that. Like there's certain things, right? Like saying yas instead of, and right, like yas instead of yes. But that's something I love to do, right? Like there's certain things like for me, like that some people would like, right, categorize as distinctly feminine. And I'm like, okay, you know, I have no problem with that. Like right, like, but again, I have to regulate, right? It's almost like code switching in a certain way, right? It's like when you're a person of color, but particularly for me, right? Because I'm a black man, right? So it's almost like code switching, right? Like I can't like when I was at my graduate, when I was on my doctoral program, like I couldn't, you know, go into like a certain space and be like, yo, what's going on, man? What's good, man? Chilling. you know? Like I couldn't do certain things. I couldn't talk about certain things. I couldn't speak in a particular way, right? And it's a similar thing, right? Where, right, instead of sort of like code switching when it comes to sort of, you know, racial, when it comes to sort of like racial and ethnic, racial and ethnic sort of like cultural signs and stuff like that. It's more like gender, right? Like it's more related to like gender performances and stuff like that. You know, so it took a long time before I found people that I could just be me. I could just be myself. I could be comfortable. I could just like, you know, have parts of me that were like, you know, definitely like, right, like definitely masculine, because that was sort of the way that I grew up, you know. But in sort of the second half, I guess, like of my life, like, you know, the more and more women that I befriended and talked to, the more I felt comfortable saying certain things and walking through this life in certain ways. You know what I mean? So like what stream is? I think it was like one of my One Piece streams. I was like, hey, like I would like to, like, you know, maybe cosplay as like Emma at some point, you know, in my life. You know, that's something that if I was like 17, I would have never said to anybody. I would have never said that to anybody. No. Right? Because it was like it was legit like dangerous. You know what I mean? At a high school, middle school, like if I ever talked about that, nah, I'd probably get like, I would have got beat down. I would have been jumped. You know, it would have been bad. Like it would have been really bad, and it would have been really bad like consistently. So I mean, like I think you got to be you, right? And again, like corny. Okay, so back to sort of the third thing, right? Corny dudes will just ignore or belittle, right? Put down women in particular in social settings, right? Especially, right? And I mean, corny dudes will do this anywhere, but especially in spaces where you see, right, where the majority of people in that space are like men, right? You know, and you'll see it. You see it all the time. And it's not cool. It's not cool. You know, it's not cool. But you know, it's something that like it's a different kind of work, I think. And like sort of what I was talking about earlier, right? With constructing, right, organically, right? You sort of you do this work like partly organically and partly like deliberately, right? Where you try to form these spaces where you can be all of you. That takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. But once you've gotten there, it's like, man, it's amazing. Like the levels of freedom and that you feel, and the not weightlessness, but like it's an amazing thing. I don't know how to describe it. But man, it feels incredible. And again, I'm very, very careful about how close I get to just like people, but more so cishet men. Like I'm really careful about that. Because you don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know if you're gonna get a guy who's like, oh man, this guy's bisexual. I don't know. I don't know if I'm comfortable. I'm like, if you're not comfortable, then like we have nothing more to talk about. You know what I mean? It's like we have nothing more to talk about. So again, like three things, right? And I feel like there's more. I'm just gonna reiterate the three things, right? So the first thing, you objectify a woman. Right, and that's a general thing, right? The second thing is, man, I can't remember what the second thing was, but it was important. I'm terrible. Like I should have wrote this stuff down. Maybe I will really quick. I don't know. Yeah, I might write it down, right? I'm gonna write down real fast. So number one, right? Number one is objectifying women. All right, number two, I'm just gonna go to like what I said for number three because I don't know why I'm not remembering number three, but number two was number two was the friends, right? The number of friends, or the ratio of your friend circle, or whatever you want to call it, right? Right, a disproportionate ratio, right? When it comes to your friend circle, when it comes to men and women. If every single one of the people that you consider to be your friends are men, I don't know. Something's off. Something's off. Like right? Like not even statistically, but just like, but yeah. Not even statistically, but just like let's go with just mathematically, generally, right? Speaking. Like you definitely meet like quite a few girls and women in your life that you have the potential to be friends with, right? Right. So when you hit like, let's say like your late teens, right, but especially when you get out of high school, that tells me a lot. That tells me a lot about you, about how you feel about women. It tells me a lot. It tells me a lot. A lot. Right? I'm going to get back to that because there was something that I thought about that's really important. Number three is how you treat women within particular spaces. And particularly male, cishet male oriented spaces. Right? How you treat women within cishet male oriented spaces. I'm just writing this down because I want to remember this. Right? Those are the first three things, right? So to get back to sort of the second thing, sorry about that, y'all. But like when you right, to sort of get back to them, right, and kind of like this is related to all three of these things. But like when you ask yourself, are you comfortable sitting in a space that is largely occupied? Not even I don't know about occupied. Occupied sounds like a kind of like intense word, but like more like that is filled with women. Right, and it doesn't matter. Like this is woman, right? The complexity of the woman, like that spectrum, right? That is the woman, right? And all of its complexity. Like, if you are in a space that is filled with women, right? Largely filled with women, and let's say you were the one guy in that space. Can you comfortably navigate that space? That's a question, right? So at some point, you know, like this happens all the time. My fiance has instances where she'll have all of her like friends over, and we'll have like brunch or dinner or breakfast or whatever, right? Lunch, whatever, right? And we'll just talk about stuff. And I will be the only guy in the apartment with them. But it's never an issue. It doesn't bother me. In fact, I'm extremely comfortable in those spaces. You know what I mean? Like this is what I'm talking about, right? Like I am it is not an issue for me. It's not an issue for me. You know what I mean? That's a thing. Like that's something that's like, right, like, and again, like you have to, there's work that comes with that. It's not like it just happens like immediately, unless like you sort of born into those kinds of spaces. But That's work that you have to do. You have to work towards that. It's important. It's important. You know, people don't understand that. People don't really understand that. They're just kind of like, oh well, you know, I don't know, man. I don't want to try to do nothing. I'm just gonna, you know, um, not do that work. I'm just gonna ignore. I'm gonna try to ignore as many women as possible. I'm gonna try to say as little as possible. I'm gonna try to say as few words as possible. I'm gonna look at my watch the entire time. I'm gonna be stone faced, right? And all the while, like corny dudes think that they're like getting away with something, or they're tricking the woman in the space, as if they like have like an invisibility cloak or something. And it's like, no, like you just look like a corny dude. You just look like a corny dude in those spaces. It's like women aren't ignoring you because they don't see you or they don't notice you. It's because they're willfully being like, yo, I don't want to talk to that person. You know, I see it all the time. All the time. All the time. So you really gotta do that work. That's related, right? That's like related to it. Related to these three. How are you in spaces that are where women are at the center that encompass it? How are you in those spaces? Are you extremely uncomfortable? Are you like, man, I gotta get out of here? Or are you, all right, this is cool, this is chill. I like this. You know, it's not a problem. You got to ask yourself that question. That's really important. And again, you got to do the work. If you're not there, try to get there. That's what I'm talking about. No one's telling you to do that overnight, right? No one's telling you to do certain things overnight. No one's telling you to become a completely different person overnight. But what women generally are asking you to do is to be like, yo, like, you got to make like some deliberate and distinct changes in the ways, right, with regards to the ways that you act, right, and interact with, right, that you act towards and interact with women, right? Like you got to do that work. Right? And some of it, right, some of it is related to, right, sort of like I want to say inter and introspective, I guess, like, because this is different, right? Like it inter sort of perspective would be like between like people, and then intra would be like sort of, I guess, within yourself. Maybe I got to think about this because like I always, give me a sec. Give me one sec. Yeah, like intro is like with like, yeah, intro is like within a text, right? And inter is like between, yeah, right. So like, right, because like with like literature, it's like intertextuality and intratextuality. It's like it sounds like kind of like, you know, froofy or whatever, but it's like a really sort of basic sort of stepping stone in terms of like close reading and stuff like that, right? It like inter being like, oh, like let's say like here's one text and you use another text to like, you know, use the two texts to sort of like analyze one of these texts, right? And intra is sort of like here's one text and you're looking within this text to you know, close read or whatever, right? So like inter sort of perspective would be like between sort of individuals, right? Like how you act with women, right? Like how are your conversations held, stuff like that. Intro would be like that self work that I've been talking about. How do you not critique, but like how do How do you examine? How do you do that self-examination work? How do you look at yourself and say, what can I do to be better? What am I doing that's not good, that's not healthy, stuff like that. When it comes to treating women and befriending women and stuff like that, and it's stuff that people don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about it. They want it to be so easy. They just want to be like, I'm good. I'm just gonna let women do what they're doing. Right, and you just keep harming women that way. That's all you do. Every time you be like, you know what, I'm just gonna chill. That's what you do. You just harm women. Again, steps. That introspective work and introspective work. You gotta do that stuff. Please. People go to me and be like, man, this guy SJW, man, it's got a feminist, man. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I don't call myself such a social justice warrior because like that's not something that I think that's like just kind of like a jerk kind of like derogatory term or whatever. And like feminism is great, especially intersectional feminism. You gotta get on that. Intersectional feminism. You know what I mean? But like people like guys gotta be better. Guys gotta be better. This is just like in general, right? In general, we gotta be better, right? Like this isn't just like other people. This is like everybody, including myself. Keep doing the work. If you haven't started doing that work, please do. If you are, great, keep doing it till you die. Right? This isn't like someone that's like, oh, I'm gonna keep doing this work for like 20 years and I'm gonna be chill. I'm gonna be chill. I'm gonna be good. It's like, nah, you do this work until you die. Until you die. So you were in a coffin, cremated, whatever. Right? Because you want to know, you want to spend the rest of your life making sure that you're not making women uncomfortable or harming women. Like that should be something that you want to do. Right? If it's not something that you want to do, again, look at yourself and figure out why that is. Because something's wrong. Something's wrong with you. Right? Like straight up, straight facts. Something is wrong with you. That's not something that you want to do. If you don't want to do that, then essentially what you want to do is you want to make women uncomfortable. Right? You want to harm women. Like that's not good. Right? I think we understand that. So be better. Be better. I just wanted to stream about this because like it was just like, I'm just getting tired of seeing like cornball dudes. And a lot of y'all know who you are. Just corny dudes, man. And I gave you like just like a quick like three listing and a few like sort of tangentials. But like y'all know who you are. You're doing these things, and sometimes some of y'all think it's funny. Some of y'all just like, man, I'm just making jokes, man. But this is why. But when you like do that self-reflective work, then it's like, oh man, I'm pretty corny. Like you're laughing about your own jokes. Like already that's corny. When you laugh at your own jokes all the time, that's corny. Right? But then when you laugh about your own joke, about your own like sexist, misogynistic, homophobic jokes, bigoted jokes, racist jokes, like it's even worse. So I streamed for like an hour, a little over an hour. I think that was cool. I think it was cool. Like I think I said what I wanted to say. And I mean, like again, like for now, right? Again, like when I get into other spaces, like I have to be better about it. Like I want to get back on my all woman panel series. That's something I gotta talk with some people about. See if they're available on Sunday, this Sunday, because I want to do it. I want to do that this Sunday. So I'm gonna talk to some people. It's gonna be about manga publishing. But it might be about something else. I might have to figure that out. So we'll see. But it should be about manga publishing because I know people have been looking forward to that. And I've been looking forward to it. But yeah. All right. Again, guys, be better, please. All right. You know, this is something like I've been talking about for a while. You know, so that's all I gotta say about that for now, right? And obviously, you know, I'm gonna keep talking about it. You know, I'm gonna keep talking about it. You know. What you gotta do? All right. So I'm done. I'm done with the stream. I've just been talking, chatting. All right. I am the Black Manga Critic once again. You know, and I think like I gotta be. Oh, this is Brago. What's good, man? It's just me talking about like corny dudes who just like don't. They just don't like. They don't get that they're corny. Like they don't get that like the ways in which they act and say things and make jokes and stuff like that, like, are actually pretty harmful to women and make them uncomfortable and stuff like that. Like that's the thing for me. Like that's a big thing for me. You know what I mean? And like again, like obviously, like I'm not saying, hey, I'm perfect, dude. I've reached the pinnacle of da da da. Like no. Again, it's something like you spend your whole life like trying to be better. You spend your whole life trying to be a better guy. You spend your whole life sort of rewriting certain things. Oh, the Dallas Mavericks. We could have an NBA stream if you want. If you want to find if you want to find some dudes to talk about the NBA, what is it like 9:51? We could talk about it now if you want. We could do a stream right after this one. We could do a stream right after this and like just like hit me up on Twitter. You know where I am. And if you want to like, if you want to find some people, yeah, I mean, oh, if we could talk about that. We could talk about that. That could be a stream. Let me hit up people on Twitter. Let's hit up people on Twitter. Find out maybe some dudes in the Twitter chat. In the Comic-Con chat. Like if they want to talk about, that, we could talk about that because that. Ooh, I saw that and I was like, yo, like it's not surprising, right? It's not surprising at all. You know what I mean? Like Mark Cuban, like I remember like watching a interview with him and he was talking about like, yo, when I was like having wet t-shirt contests and stuff like that. I'm like anytime you hear about a dude having a wet t-shirt contest, like it's never good, man. It's never good. Like it's like something else is around the corner. So let me see if I can start another stream. I'm gonna start another stream and maybe that'll be like the title of it. But let me first find let's just find some people so we could have like so we could like have like some just like a conversation because Dustin usually does like stuff like that where like have like what happened this week and stuff like that, which are like pretty cool streams. And like you yourself obviously because your streams like you be talking like you and everybody else in the stream talking about whatever. No, yeah, right. And it's like for me, it's like again, like if you're a corny dude, it doesn't mean like you're gonna be corny forever. It just means like you should not want to be a corny dude, right? Like you should want to get away from that. Like you should want to get away from that and be better. That's what I'm saying, right? By no means like it's just like I guess you could call me like a recovering corny dude. I guess if you want to, right? Like it's sort of like how like they're like sort of like the notion that they're like recovering racists. Like you could sort of call me like a recovering corny guy, right? Because it's not like I'm like exempt from this stuff. I'm just talking about this stuff because like this is like again this is work, right? I have a YouTube channel, so if I have this YouTube channel, I have this platform. At the very least, right? I should be having certain streams like this and making sure that I get my opinion across, so people don't misunderstand like how I feel about these topics and stuff. I got to make sure I do that stuff. Because otherwise, and I'm not doing what I be right. Otherwise, I'm not doing what I be saying I do. So I ain't trying to mess with that. I ain't trying to do that. All right. All right. Let me end the stream here, and then I'm gonna talk to some people, see if they want to join the stream with Brago, me, and everybody else about this Dallas Mavericks thing, because this is like This is something. This is something. Okay. All right. I'm gonna end the stream here, y'all. Thank you for coming through. Shout out to everybody that came through. Professor Tomi, Brago, DJ 17, Spiko, Spider Shot, Waka Blanca Flame. Thank you. Thank you for coming through. All right. Let me get out of here. All right, let me end the stream now. And I'm a Black Manga Critic, y'all. I'm gonna be talking. I'm gonna be talking about this, until the end. Until I die. Till this channel, is defunct or whatever. I'm gonna keep talking about it because you got it. You gotta keep talking about the stuff that you believe in. So, I'm a Black Manga Critic, y'all, and I'm out.